Hi everyone, in this video we will talk about ICMP protocol. ICMP is an network layer protocol, and it is basically used to provide some flow control and error control to IP protocol. Basically, it is like IP is an unreliable protocol. It does not have any flow control error control, but ICMP is just an attempt to provide a flow control error control, which means it is also not fully providing flow control error control, but it helps to some extent to IP protocol. So let's see this ICMP protocol. As I said, like IP provides unreliable and connectionless datagram reliably. So there are drawbacks to that, which means lack of error control mechanism, lack of assistant mechanism. So what do I mean by that? You will get it to know. And solution of these problems is ICMP. When I say lack of error control mechanism, which means that there is no error reporting or error correcting mechanism in the IP protocol. So what happens if a router discard a datagram because it cannot find the destination, or there is a TTL field which has went to 0? Then what will happen? The router needs to discard the packet, right? And in that case, in those cases, how will source get to know that that package had got discarded because of some reason? I mean, because of this reason, particularly if TTL is 0, or the router is not able to find the destination. I mean, what have been the reason? What could have been the reason? And like, what happens if the final destination host must discard all the fragments because the final destination has not reached all the fragments, it has only reached some of the fragments, right? So there may be many reasons to discard the packet. Like, this is just one or two of them. So there may be many reasons to discard the packet by the router or by the final destination. Maybe the packet has reached to the final destination IP address, but the port number is not does not exist in that in that host, right? Or maybe the port is unreachable, maybe the port is down, maybe the host is up but the port is down. So there may be many possibilities by which the either the destination host or the router in the between need to discard the packet. So ICMP is just an attempt to tell the source or in between the router to tell that, see, the packet has been discarded because of some reason, and ICMP packet basically specify the reason also. And there is something called assistance. So like, suppose there are two routers and I want to check whether this particular router is alive or not. Suppose I'm using DVR and I have not heard any distance vector from this for some time, and I just want to check whether everything is okay with this router. So I will send an ICMP message, that is called ICMP query message or ICMP hello message. So I will send ICMP query message to this router, so just to check if the router is alive. Or maybe if I want to get some information from another host or router. So there are like different needs of the ICMP message, and then we will study those type of like, ICMP provides basically two type of message. We will study both type of message in this video. So solution of all these problems is an ICMP protocol. This is a network layer protocol, but it does not mean that it uses the directly the data link layer, which means this protocol itself uses the IP. So which means what? It will get clear. See, this is an ICMP protocol which will be encapsulated within the IP protocol. See here, this is an ICMP message that is used as a data for the IP header, and then you will be using the Ethernet frame or whatever data link layer header you want to use, right? So this ICMP message does not directly go and sit in the data link layer. It first gets encapsulated using the IP header, and then it goes and sit in the data link layer, right? Now there are different rules to send the ICMP message. That no ICMP error message will be generated in response to datagram carrying an ICMP error message. Which means, suppose that ICMP error message got discarded due to some reason. So it does not mean that router will send the ICMP message that, see, your ICMP message has been discarded. Otherwise, it will be like, it will be too much congestion in the network. So if there is some ICMP message that got discarded, then in response to that, there won't be any ICMP message. Okay. No ICMP error message will be generated for the fragmented datagram that is not the first fragment. So if that is not the first fragment, you are dropping some fragment which is midway, or which is basically the fragment which is not the first fragment, then there will not be any ICMP message for that particular fragment. Okay. No ICMP error message will be generated the datagram that is having a multicast address. Suppose you want to send some message to multiple host, and then there are some multiple like multicast addresses that uses some multicast protocols like IGMP or something. So basically, if you are sending some message to group of people, then for those messages you are not like router will not be sending the ICMP error message. Similarly, there are some special addresses like this. For those, ICMP error message will not be generated. So there are some rules for the ICMP error message. Okay. So as I said, like ICMP messages will be divided into two categories. One is error reporting message, another one is query message. So error reporting message helps router or the destination host to check like what kind of problem or why which like what kind of problem has been encountered, and because of that the packet has been discarded. Right? Reports the problem that a router or host may encounter when it processes an IP packet. And query message is different. Query message is just to check whether the router is alive or there is some special purpose. Let's suppose I want to check that how much time it is taking from here to here. So there are some query message that are being sent, and then we will calculate that okay, this much time it is taking. So we will talk about these two type of messages in this video, right? So let's first talk about the error reporting messages. As I said, like ICMP message has been divided into two parts. I mean, there are two types of ICMP message, either error reporting or query message. So let's first talk about the error reporting messages. So again, like error reporting message and query message has their own type of header. So there are different type of headers. So one is for error reporting message, another is for query message, and another like this error reporting messages and query messages are further divided into different types. So error reporting message could be a destination unreachable message. So basically, if you notice here, there are two fields, type and code, in both of the messages, right? Type is basically, let's suppose if I am having 03 as a type, then this is saying that destination unreachable is the type, and then code will determine which kind of destination unreachable is this. So basically each type has been divided into multiple parts, right? So like we will not study these types and these things, these codes in the detail. My idea is just to tell you how ICMP is helping IP protocol to provide the error control. Okay. See, like for error reporting messages, these are the types, and for every type there are different codes. So here you will be having 0 to 15 codes, right? 0 to 15 codes. Here you have only 0, code number 0, you have 0 to 3, something like that. So for every type there will be different codes. Yeah, so next is the error reporting messages. So let's talk about the error reporting messages. So ICMP, first of all, ICMP only report the error, which means the ICMP does not correct the error. If there is an error, then ICMP will tell that okay, see, this is an error, but it does not correct the error. Okay, it just tell that this is an error. Error correction is left to the higher level protocol. Okay, error messages are always sent to the original source, which means like suppose that there is some router and that has discarded some packet. Now since I only have at this router, I only have two information, which is source IP and destination IP. So this error message will be sent only to the source IP. I mean, there is no point in sending the error message to the destination IP. So this error message will be sent to the source IP only, not to the in-between router. So error are always sent to the original source. ICMP uses the source IP address to send the error message to the original source. So this router cannot send the error message to in-between router. Why? Because it does not have any address of this router in this packet, because this packet does not have any address of the in-between router. It only has the source IP and destination IP. So error messages are always sent to the originator, which means source which has generated this message. Now this error message, as I just told you, are being divided into multiple categories, and we will not look at these category in detail because this is not required for the gate. For us, we will just be seeing like overall idea of the error reporting message. So let's say that first is destination unreachable. So in case of like, let's suppose there is some router, and that router has encountered some problem, and because of that the destination is unreachable, then it will say that some type will be 3, and because of what region the destination is unreachable, it will specify using the code, right? Now this error message, let's suppose this is the received datagram and this is having some error. So this error message will be contained in the encapsulated in the ICMP header. Now just notice this, we will be taking IP header and then first 8 bytes in case of error message. Why? See, this is the IP header that we are taking into account, and then we are taking first 8 bytes. So why we are doing it? So that why we are taking the first 8 bytes? So that the receiving source, which means like whenever I'm sending this packet to the source, so the receiving host will get to know that why there is an error. So like we suppose that there is an error because the TTL got expired. So we will specify that in the ICMP header. That is okay. But that error is because of which protocol? Maybe because of TCP, maybe because of UDP. So this is the transport layer header, right? This is the first 8 bytes of transport layer header. First 8 bytes of transport layer header. So this first 8 byte, if you look at the transport layer headers, if the first 8 byte either you use TCP or you use UDP, the first 8 byte tells source port number, destination port number, these things. Source port, destination port, like that, right? So we use these first 8 bytes so that we can actually tell to the particular port or to the particular process that see there's an error. That's why we are using the first 8 bytes here. And this whole datagram along with the IP header and like this first 8 bytes gets encapsulated in the ICMP header, and this further gets encapsulated in the IP header, and then we are sending this packet. So basically this whole thing is an ICMP message that gets encapsulated in the IP header. That is the only case with the error message. Suppose that have been the query message. In case of query message, I will not be using this IP header and these things. I will be just using ICMP header and then maybe some data, and the data won't be this IP header, right? Because I'm not discarding any packet or anything. I'm just having some query. So basically in that case, I will not be having any packet so that I can have some IP header or something, right? I will be just initiating some query message. Let's suppose I'm saying there is some command that is called ping in Unix. So basically if I say ping, so there is no IP packet that I have. I'm just initiating my uh, packet forwarding from my host or from my router. Okay. Now, this ICMP data packet, as I told you, has the IP header of the original datagram. This gives the original source information about the datagram itself. So, like why I'm keeping it, so that it gives the source information. This IP header basically gives the source information of the original datagram, and the first advice of the data helps us to determine whether it is UDP or TCP, because I have the port number there and the sequence number. So it helps us to determine that which upper layer protocol we have used, and using that you can tell within the host, you can tell to the particular process that see there is an error, and the error region is defined in the ICMP header, right? In the ICMP header, the error region is there. Now, if you talk about the destination unreachable, so as I told you, like there are different types of error message, and we will not go in the detail, but let me just briefly overview about these type of messages. If you talk about the destination unreachable, then this has some type, maybe I think type 13, or I do not remember the type. Destination unreachable has type 3, yeah. So it has some type, and there are different codes. If I say type is 3 and code is 0, it means network is unreachable. So it is the case when you have some HTTP request and suppose server is down, maybe because of that it says that code is 0. And see here, this is 4. If code is 4, then like sometimes what happens, basically if I'm receiving some packet, and that packet is having do not fragment bit set, df bit set, but I have to fragment it to forward it, then what I will do, I will send this ICMP message. I will say that the fragmentation needed, but you are saying do not fragment. So I will use this code, right? So there may be multiple regions. Because of that, I need to discard the packet, and I will specify the region in the ICMP header itself. So destination unreachable covers all of these cases. Source quench is basically used if there is a congestion in the network and router has to drop the packet, then there will be a source quench message. If TTL becomes 0, then there will be a TTL exceeded message. If there is some problem in the IP header, maybe the router thinks that the port number, oh, sorry, router thinks that IP address, destination IP address, or maybe some option, or maybe something is wrong, then the router will send the parameter problem message. If there is some redirection problem, which means you are sending some packet and that packet has been reached to the router, but the router has no way to send this packet to anything. So router knows that this particular address is basically wrong, which means that the source or in between some router has by mistake forwarded this packet to me. So it sends a redirection message that please do not forward this kind of packet to me, which means this, if the source IP is this, then please do not forward this kind of packet to me. So like there are different type of error messages that we use in the ICMP. You do not need to know the detail, you just need to know that what ICMP does, right? And now comes the query message. So the query message are of two types, like either you say echo request or reply, or you say timestamp request or reply. So echo is used just to check whether the other host is live or not, which means echo request and echo reply message are just to just to test the reachability of the host. If I just want to check host or router if that is live or not, then I just send the ICMP query message that is having echo request, and then it will reply with the echo reply message. And this is usually done by invoking the pin command in the Unix. Okay. Now the second type of query message is timestamp request and reply, which is basically used to calculate generally round trip time. Okay, needed for IP datagram, and basically there is one more goal. Second goal is to synchronize the clock between two machines. So based on the goal, we will be using either the TCMP request and reply or the echo request and reply. So these are the query messages, which means that these are the messages that we do not use when we have some error. We just initiate these kind of messages to check either round trip time or synchronize the clock, or to check whether the host is live or not. So this is all about the ICMP protocol.